Welcome into another edition of Ringside Review. I am Athan Hristodulu, joined alongside Jason Ounpraseuth of Nessun.com. He writes about wrestling. He has interviewed people about wrestling. Welcome to another show, Jason. How are you doing today?
Very excited. Big show we got here after a very big WWE show. Lots of interesting things that happened last Saturday in Indianapolis. So we're ready to get into it.
Absolutely. Royal Rumble was hot. There was a lot of reacting going on. And then Monday Night Raw, the follow-up, Raw after the Rumble, also had a lot going on as well. First thing I want to focus on, though, we'll talk a little bit just about the Royal Rumble quickly here. It's obviously been a few days since it's happened, but just thoughts, takeaways. Charlotte Flair wins the women's match. Jey Uso wins the men's match. Seems like the internet scathing at the fact that Charlotte Flair has won herself another title opportunity. Me personally, I'm okay with it. I actually enjoy the better than you shtick that she has had going on for the last handful of years. I feel like wrestling needs that. So I honestly was fine with her coming back and doing it. It matches what her character is. And then Jey Uso obviously winning. I don't think anyone saw that coming. Jason, I don't know if you predicted that anywhere, but I'm here for it, I think. I kind of like the fact that WWE was so willing to kind of just go out on a limb and run with something like this and go with the not obvious answer in John Cena that a lot of people seem to be really high on. What do you think?
Starting with the women's side, I'm kind of with you. I don't really mind Charlotte winning the Rumble again. I honestly just kind of laughed that she did. It just seemed to make sense. You know, I think it really just exemplifies their women's division, how like they kind of are lacking in big stars. You know, Becky Lynch didn't come back either. It kind of made sense. You don't want to double dip in that aspect there, and so you kind of need a big star to really get that division going, especially for Rhea Ripley. I'm sure we'll get into that with her segment on Raw as well. And so I don't really mind for Charlotte. For Jey, that's a bit, as you said, controversial, because for me, I'm not the biggest Jey Uso guy. I understand, his entrance, it's the big marketing point for WWE. Like, you should be going to WWE shows to do the yeeting with Jey Uso. but for me personally, I'm a person who values the in-ring storytelling of wrestling, and for Jey Uso, he doesn't really do it for me. I do understand from your perspective that WWE is making a big gamble on Jey Uso, having him have this storyline of overcoming the odds, and they're really hyping up his sort of rise in WWE. He's been in the company for 10 years, very Kofi Kingston kind of asked of getting his time, and so it's a big gamble. I'm curious because he had that SummerSlam match against Roman Reigns and his WrestleMania match against Jimmy Uso. Those matches were kind of flops for me personally, and so he's getting another big stage here for WrestleMania, and so it's a big stage, a big challenge for him that they're confident he can at least answer.
Yeah. Interesting about your thought on the Roman Reigns match that he had. I was actually a fan of that, but that's something we can get into a different time, focusing on the Rumble here. My question to you now, the one that obviously kind of got teased a bit and you alluded to just a second ago, WrestleMania opponents. We got a promo with Gunther between him and Jey. We got the promo with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. I, for one, honestly feel like Jey and Gunther is the end result of this Royal Rumble win. It's just the one that makes sense in what they're building towards. I don't see how unless they're going to turn Cody heel on Jey Uso, which I just don't feel like Jey Uso has enough star power for that turn to warrant. I don't think that's going to be the end result there. And then for the Charlotte Flair Rhea Ripley thing, the internet's been very, very heavy on eventually seeing Charlotte go up against Tiffany Stratton, and that's kind of where I thought that whole thing was going. As soon as I saw her win, I was like, oh, okay, so the internet's on this one here. Charlotte, Tiffany, we get it at WrestleMania. I understand where they're coming from. But then we get Rhea Ripley last night. I honestly wasn't expecting that, and maybe that's shame on me for not remembering, the history. These two have a 1-1 record against each other on the biggest stage. Are you good with the rubber match? Because honestly, I kind of am, and I almost want that more than I want I want a definitive decision between those two. And maybe that's just me, but I'm curious to hear what you think on that.
I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I do want a rubber match between these two. I mean, Michael Cole mentioned it that they stole the show the last time they wrestled at WrestleMania.
39 was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was amazing, and it really established Rhea as a big star. And I kind of feel like she's kind of lost her momentum a bit, minus the title win. I think during that Liv Morgan Summer feud, there's a lot of shenanigans going around, a lot more comedy with the Dominic Mysterio aspect, and just more about Liv Morgan than Rhea Ripley, minus the title win that Rhea had on the Netflix debut. And so I think having a feud with Charlotte can really center her back into being the big star of the promotion for the women's division. And, you know, having Charlotte there as well, again, like I mentioned before, she's elevating the star power of the women's division. And I think, you know, having a match with Rhea does her better than having one with Tiffany Stratton, who's still, you know, she's great in her own right, but still a little bit newer to the main event scene.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like if they go the Tiffany way, it's going to be about building Tiffany up. And I don't know if, after having Charlotte come back the way she did, and honestly, her promo was a bit, I don't want to say awkward, was just weird to see her try to play that face card early and then just kind of go, I'm the woman, respect me kind of deal, essentially, after the fact. I just thought they were going to go gung-ho on that. So I feel like you can't have what they're trying to build with Charlotte right now after bringing her back after such a long, extended absence and try to just pit her against an up-and-coming rising star. I feel like the money match is literally, give me the decision between Rhea and Charlotte. Two people that, especially early on in Rhea's days, before she changed her look completely, it was one of those, she was like the mini Charlotte, the up-and-coming next Charlotte kind of deal. So like that's something I'm invested in, and I've loved both of their matches. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, the first time they met, that was the COVID Mania, right? That was the year that there was nobody there.
Yeah.
And that was still a pretty good match, despite the fact that it was in front of literally nobody. So I definitely want to see a decision on that one. The Jey Uso thing is just, for me, it really is just a matter of, I don't know where it's going to go. So I don't really want to sit here and speculate on like the direction. I'm assuming it's Gunther and him, but like, I never thought we were going to be in this position to begin with. So that is the Rumble discussion. There were a couple of Elimination Chamber notes to be had on Monday night as well, though, and I want to ask you about this. And before we get into it, there were some technical issues that I think spoiled the main event of Raw in what happened at the end when CM Punk took down Sami Zayn to get his spot in the Elimination Chamber. I literally did not know what was happening at the end of that match. I don't know how bad the glitching and the stuttering and the buffering was for you, but it went from Punk celebrating for me to I had black for a good few seconds, and next thing I know, Kevin Owens is in the ring and Sami Zayn's down. So I didn't even know what actually happened. And it wasn't until I looked back after the fact that we saw that. And I'm surprised that it took 5 weeks to get there, but Netflix kind of had its first big oopsies, and I'm disappointed that it was kind of bad in the middle part of the show, and it felt like all hell broke loose in the main event at the end there.
Yeah, I mean, I had a similar experience to you. I think it's just probably for most of us worldwide, of that blackout screen and just not really understanding like what was said in the ring. Clearly Punk was, Sami Zayn, they were talking in the ring at the same time. I'm curious whether like there's a viewership spike because of the new interest in WWE, the post Royal Rumble bump that they got compared to, the past couple episodes of Raw were kind of just mundane episodes of Raw. There wasn't really much going on. It was more building up towards the next show and to the next, to the Royal Rumble. Yeah. And so now you're bringing in this new audience, telling them to watch the next show. And then now like they can't watch it because it's all glitchy and they don't know, they can't hear what's going on.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a frustrating thing, and I'm curious to see how Netflix handles that. But it was just a spoiler to what was otherwise a fun main event. And as I just mentioned, CM Punk defeating Sami Zayn. He's in the Elimination Chamber now. On the flip side of things, for the women's side, Liv Morgan defeats Io Sky via disqualification due to interference from Rhea Ripley, getting her way into the Elimination Chamber, continuing to be a thorn in Rhea Ripley's side. I want to hear your thoughts on both these two winning and who they beat to keep out of the Elimination Chamber here, because now it feels like Sami Zayn's about to go gung-ho in something with Kevin Owens, and I think that might be leading to something towards WrestleMania, and we're actually going to wrap the show segment with that. But before we get into that, CM Punk, he's in, Sami Zayn's out. Liv Morgan taking out Io Sky, somebody that a lot of people liked for the Rumble and now is missing the Elimination Chamber. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I thought Liv Morgan, it seemed like she was moving on to at least away from the title scene for at least a couple months, at least until the summer break, until we can get a new fresh crop of stars coming in. But yeah, she's still in the title scene. That's kind of interesting to me. For Io Sky, I can see her challenging Tiffany Stratton, maybe just moving back to SmackDown perhaps, because as we mentioned, if Charlotte's going to Rhea Ripley, Tiffany doesn't really have many challengers up ahead for her, and so I could definitely see her moving on to something else, at least something title related, because they definitely are very high on her with the spots that she had and just the placement that she has in the Rumble as well. And I don't think this might be the last of Io Sky, especially with the confrontation she had with Rhea Ripley. There might be something else going on in the future.
Maybe they put Rhea Ripley in. And this is something I'm curious to see about too, because the WWE, the way they've shaped things, has been like, it feels like whoever won the Rumble was going to face the current champion at WrestleMania, and like the titles won't be on the line, but maybe Io finds her way in a title match that Rhea Ripley probably ends up winning at Elimination Chamber, something like that. But that was definitely an interesting wrinkle to the whole entire thing, because like you said, clearly upset on Io Sky's end, and I did not anticipate Liv Morgan qualifying via disqualification in any way. Obviously, I know that they had a run-in earlier in the night, so surprise, them two hating each other and it leading to that. I guess in hindsight, it's 2020, but just not the direction I thought that was going to go. Now, CM Punk being in the Elimination Chamber, we're in for another star-studded affair on the men's side of things with this, because CM Punk's going to be in. He obviously keeps out Sami Zayn, who's going to be dealing with, it seems like, Kevin Owens going forward. Just off the top right now, you have to pick John Cena, who basically got a free entry into the Rumble based off of what was like a lukewarm heel thing that he kind of did at the press conference that they had after the Royal Rumble. If you're picking between CM Punk and John Cena to win that Elimination Chamber match, with the promo that Punk had last week, and then now with Cody, and now Cena, who is clearly hell-bent on winning a 17th World Championship and is all business going forward, who are you taking between just those two alone? Just because I'm curious.
I think between those two, I would take John Cena. I think because from the Rumble, there's a lot of tensions going on between Roman Reigns and CM Punk, and I think that might be the direction that they want to go. I know like there's a bit of like a storyline kind of injury with Roman Reigns with the curb stomp that he took. He's out for a couple months, but still like it's a very vague timeline for Roman Reigns. He can already just come back whenever he wants. And I don't think that's the last we've seen between Punk and Reigns. And so I think Cena is probably the better opponent if we're suggesting that Jey Uso is going to take on Gunther. If someone's going to take on Cody, I think John Cena is probably the better opponent. I think you see the desperations of their matches and just their storylines. I think that could probably has a better formula between those two.
I like that. That's actually a really good way to put that. Especially the desperation point you had there, because it feels like Cody is having some of that kind of go on with himself right now. Cena in the same boat. They're both, one's desperate to hang on to what he's been doing. The other one is desperate to take it from him. So I do like that angle. Now, with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, I wanted to touch on this before we jump out of here. WrestleMania match, we're going to have two friends blow it all off. At this point, Kevin Owens has turned on Sami Zayn more times than I can count in my life. So is this where we're heading? Is that what that was all about?
Unfortunately, Athan, I think it is. I say unfortunately because I've been watching these guys wrestle each other for, it feels like a decade and a half, like almost half of my lifehood. These guys have been fighting in Ring of Honor, their ladder wars, just PWG, just all their matches, even WWE, NXT, like they've just had matches constantly. I know they always try to find a way to spice things up, to really change up their rivalry, but really like we're just going for Owens and Zayn again because I guess Owens, we gave him that fake championship, the Eagle yes. title, and then for Sami Zayn, WWE, they don't really see him as a world title guy, but just more flirting in the world title picture, which is why he had that elimination match with CM Punk. But still, like, it just feels like, these guys don't have anything. Let's just have a feud again for, like you said, Athan, just the 10th time, it feels like.
Yeah, it unfortunately seems like that's where we're heading. I guess I could say I'm like excited to see it happen at Mania now and see if they can finally wrap that arc that's been literally going on for years up. But I guess we'll see where this wrestling road takes us. But that is another edition of Ringside Review from me, from Jason. As always, thank you all for joining us. Appreciate you for hanging out and talking some wrestling. Looking forward to talking to you all again real soon.